Wang Yongchen, any comments from you after what you've heard?
China environmental NGO, very young. We are first NGO from in 1994. So it's a beginning, a lot of activities, education. So we are follow Lam Chiu-ying together bird watching. It's almost 10 years ago. Yeah, so from that moment, we thinking is the education is important, but education journalists is much more important than the public, because if you influence journalists, so they can write articles, talk about 2 months. You want to buy one clothes, it's also too short. Maybe I think, I got experience. Just last week, last month. So we have like today is some people is together sit down, then ask who the clothes is. You put this clothes 5 years. Yeah, only myself. Yeah, the others is also maybe 5 months. So now the China NGOs, we're thinking the education not enough. We have a lot of law, but a lot of times law doesn't work. So how can we do? I think journalists, we can do a lot of things. So just now we talk about hydropower. I'm very sad, maybe can say, these 2 days, I'm not heard about criticize hydropower, because maybe somebody also thinking hydropower is a clean energy. But you know, the China, we have a very important river. It's called Dadu River. This is beautiful, not only beautiful, and also biodiversity and the cultural diversity. But you know now, the central and the local government set up how many dams? Only this river and the tributary this river, 356. So how can ask a river nature? So nature is our life. Today we talk about water, but what about we are river? So I think this, I hope in future, so we talk about more river. We also needed to understand what is hydropower. So this is really very, very difficult to do. Ask not only government, also scientists understand hydropower is really needed. We thinking about this. This is clean energy or not. So I'm not, now the Chinese, a lot of, some people criticize us, it's against the dam. But we tell them, no, we're not criticize the dams. We just want information right. Because now a lot of dams, not only China, the whole world, a lot of countries, when they are set up dams, the local people didn't know nothing. So how can we give them information right? The second important thing is about public participation. This is very important, I think, in future. So when I sit here, I'm really thinking about our country's local people. They didn't know about climate change, but they know the river now, no water again. So how can we help them? We are not many money. We just can write. We just have the film. We have the birds. So we're thinking maybe after this conference, everybody go to the local area, close the local people, tell them what is climate change, tell them you can do something, help the local people. I think this is very important. I want to do it, and also want to we together do it.
Well,
Thank you.
actually, Ms. Wang's work in China had a tremendous influence on some of the dams that were proposed. So thank you very much. Now, we lost Rajat. Rajat, are you still here? Oh, please come back. Well, there's a thing ticking here, as you can all see. We have 6 minutes, 46 seconds left. So what I'd like to do is just pose the question to all of you, and I know, Robert, you wanted to intervene, so but let me just ask this question. In Hong Kong, we did a survey in the summer, and we released the results a couple of weeks ago. And this is a general survey about how people in Hong Kong see climate change. Is it important to them? Do they care? Do they have at least the basic information? Well, actually, what we found was very high level of concern. People know it's going to affect their children, so it's not so far away. Their children are alive, and they are very concerned about that. Also, what they said was that the majority preferred to pay now rather than pay later. So it's a message to say that people are ready for some, clear-headed solutions. Now, of course, there's a whole variety of solutions that we need to have. So what seems to be missing is maybe some kind of leadership, and you're all saying, actually, we can all lead. Right? You're, in fact, all saying we don't necessarily need to wait for important people to tell us what to do. Of course, that's not unimportant, but we can do something. You talked about the importance of information. You talked about the importance of self-example. You talked about the importance of culture, even people's purchasing culture, because we can't stop people buying things tomorrow. So what is it that we can do? So, Japan trying all kinds of ideas. So I just want you to comment on how you see the readiness of people to change. I mean, I know Lo Gunting and CY, you talked about very hard to change people. But aren't we getting a double message? At one time, we seem to be saying to ourselves that we're ready for change, and that the data is there to tell us people are ready for change. And yet we feel it's so hard for others to change. But you have all changed. You're all doing something. Now, we always talk about, let's go out of this room and, let's do something and not talk. I get the sense that all of you here and all of you on stage, you are already doing something. So maybe a final comment from each one of you on the panel before we close. Robert, we'll go to you first.
Well, I think that we do need to change our habits. And I think that I've been really inspired by what everybody's said here from this leadership. But I'd like just to ask you, are you going to change a habit? And I'm making a commitment here and now, which I've not made before. So I've really got to do this now, is that my habit has always been reliant completely on fossil fuels. I ask you to imagine, my friends, being in an area, the Antarctic, twice the size of Australia. And you're on your own, and the temperature's minus 55 degrees Celsius, quite cold. And I ask you to imagine how wonderful it is. After 10, 15 hours walking, you go into your tent, you use some fossil fuels to melt your water, warm up the tent, get ice out of your clothing, and think, maybe I can do another day. And you're out there for 70 days. So therefore, my habit has always been to rely on fossil fuels. But in 2012, my commitment, my habit change is going to be tough. But we're going to do this, and Roy from China will be with me on this journey. And we're going back to Antarctica, and we're making a 1,600-kilometer journey from the South Pole to the edge of Antarctica, and we're not going to use any fossil fuels for our survival. Now, right now, we're dead, but all the technology to make that happen is out there. And my job over the next year and a half is to pull that technology together, make that journey, which will be hard. Without the fossil fuels, I'm going to miss it, right? But we're going to do that, and David, I hope, will be proud of us. We'll be live on the internet, getting that message to young people to say, if we can do it there, we can do it more at home. Now, that's my commitment. That's going to be my habit change. And if we as leaders go out there and just say, great conference, really inspirational, We need to walk the talk. So I ask you to respond in your hearts to our challenge and Roy's and my challenge of going to get bloody cold back at the South Pole. That's what I'd like to say. Respond to that challenge. Good luck. We need to walk the talk.